not even really associated with the tropical storm. Yeah, the moisture, it's helping, but the tropical storm rain's still way down to the south. That'll be for this afternoon. That'll be for later this morning. That'll be for this evening especially. So we expect a full day's worth of on and off rain, something we haven't had a whole lot of around here. And of course, what's been so dry, everything kind of hard, that may cause some flooding issues on its own. Add 6 inches worth of rain in some spots, and that will cause some significant flooding issues. So that'll be one of our primary concerns. Near the coast, we'll be a little bit more concerned about some storm surge, maybe a foot or two above normal high tides. High tides are in the middle of the afternoon and in the overnight period coming up. So those are some of the things that we'll be thinking about. But for most of us, it's about the rain, and we've got plenty of that around the area right now, especially in South Georgia. You get to Cairo and Bainbridge north to Camilla. Yeah, we've got a bunch coming down, and it's more moderate rain right now, not just that light stuff. Slide a little bit further south through parts of Gadsden County from Havana to Quincy over towards Gretna and Greensboro. We've got more light to moderate type showers. Not a lot falling in parts of Leon County, but not zero. Same story with Wakulla, but not zero. We've got a few more showers into Liberty and Franklin County. Most of what we're going to find this morning will be on and off, hit and miss. Most of what we'll find later will get a little bit more steady as the system gets closer. Now, the thing that's the most interesting to me and has been since early this morning is this is where they're locating the center of the storm at the surface, way out here. Go about 100 miles east of it, and that's where we see a lot of the flare-ups on the satellite and on the radar. What that likely tells me is either we're going to adjust this track and position, or we're going to find another center developing, and that's actually pretty common to find newer centers that form under all the more deep convection, and those are fancy weather terms for where the showers and storms are. So as this slides more east, that may adjust where we expect it to be later on today. Current thinking brings it to the Big Bend area by sunset tonight. And of course, that's why we've got the tropical storm warnings in effect all day today, and that just means we expect tropical storm-like conditions within 36 hours. Currently, 50-mile-per-hour sustained winds with this storm. I don't expect it to strengthen much, but I do expect it to speed up a bunch. And the faster it goes, the better off we will be to lower some of those rainfall totals, which will still probably be in the 2 to 4 inch range, more widespread, with some isolated amounts east even higher. Lots to break down still with this storm and the rest of our weather. We'll have that for you guys in just a couple. Radar picture's been super active, and we're even going to find some of these green boxes. That's for a flash flood warning. Now, we saw some of the heavier rains earlier today. Mostly was in South Georgia. Now it's sliding a little further east, but still in South Georgia, approaching Moultrie. Got more in northern parts of Thomas County. Here we are in especially eastern Leon County, where we have that flash flood warning until after 1 o'clock, and it will get extended. We've got more moderate to heavy rains into parts of now western Jefferson County over to Monticello and Highway 19. More activity back to the west, plenty of showers. And these are the beginnings of Colin that will continue to spread north. Now, just over the last 3 hours, we've seen spots in eastern Leon County approaching 2.5 inches worth of rain. Some of the smaller amounts of rain near 1 inch. So we're talking 1 to 2.5 inches in just the past 3 hours. This is what prompts the flash flood warning. That's a lot of rain in a short amount of time. We've got much more to go. So we're going to start blowing up those rainfall totals that maybe the early thinking was 2 to 4 inches region-wide. We're already there and haven't even started to see some of the outer bands from the tropical storm, which is still well to the south. You can see over the past few hours a pretty steady flow of showers coming south to north and not moving very much. And that's why we get such big rainfall totals. Now, one of the saving graces with this storm is that it is moving fast and should continue to do so. But I'd like to point out that not only is the center of the storm someplace way out here in the middle of the Gulf, but look where all the big weather is, up against the Florida west coast of the peninsula. The worst of the weather is usually with a system like this on the eastern side, but fairly close to the middle. Now, this one, it's way off onto the eastern side, so no matter where this goes, a lot of our area and the Florida Peninsula is going to get a lot of rain, plenty of wind, and storm surge is going to be one of our issues too. You get storm surge a couple of feet above normal, and that's an issue for a lot of those low-lying areas, and that is a definite possibility in the middle of the afternoon today when we do approach those high tides, and then again overnight tonight when we get that second round of high tides. The good news is it's moving quickly, and it looks like it's even speeding up more, so it should get in, get out, and be done with us by tomorrow morning. But between now and then, Lots of rain to talk about, and rain and flooding will be our primary concerns for most of the area. We'll have to mix.
Rob Nucatola has been in Taylor County Forest all day long. He joins us live now from Steinhatchee. Rob, what have you been seeing out there today?
Well, you know, guys, it's been kind of interesting. We got here just after high tide, and the high tide was impressive, probably 3 or 4 feet above normal. We're at the Ideal Marina here in Steinhatchee, and you can see the water has gone quite a bit down. As a matter of fact, some people are trying to get their boats and stuff situated again now that the water levels have calmed down. But if you take a look up there, you can see a whole bunch of debris, and I mean talking way out there by the stop signs. That's how far out the water came from the marina at about 3:30, 4 o'clock, 4:30. And the other amazing thing was it was almost sunny for a little while here. One of the things we've been watching all day with this storm is how much of the rain, how much of the wind, how much of the real oomph with this has been to the south and to the east of that so-called center. Well, we're getting some of those rain bands moving up to the north now as the center starts to approach land, and we're starting to see the rain come back. We've had some pretty gusty winds here, maybe as high as 20 to 30 miles per hour at times, but it wasn't sustained like that. We've had some decent rounds of rain. Driving over here through Jefferson County especially, boy, it was crazy rain. But since we've been here, it's fairly been dry. The rain started up about 15 minutes ago, just in time for the news, and right now it's a little bit quieter rain than we had just 5 minutes ago when it was pouring out here. So I think what we're in for is going to be a continuation of the rain for just a little while longer, and then as we get through the overnight period and the center, wherever that may be, of this storm moves on off its merry way, I do like the improvement of our forecast for the next couple of days. But there is another high tide later tonight, and I suspect it's going to be about as high as the one we had, guys, just a little while ago.
Rob, earlier in the 5, you showed us some damage and how far that the tide had come out. What are they expecting for the evening hours?
You know, in the that next overnight tide could be interesting. I think we're going to see the water come up again. Hopefully not as much as it did. You know, in the 5 o'clock news, I was telling you about the stop sign and how far the water came. Well, I'm where that stop sign sort of is, and I'm looking at 3 feet of rain that fell into this little gully in front of this little barn, little house over here. So there was significant water that came down. Yes, it was partly rain, but also it had to do with that surge that came up over the docks here at the Ideal Marina in Steinhatchee. And one of the things that's been kind of amazing to me throughout the afternoon, not only has been the way the storm has been moving and how we've been getting pockets of rain and breaks where it almost feels like it's going to get sunny, but the local residents have been great. They're some of the most prepared people that they are, but they're not surprised and they're not concerned. They know how to deal with it. They are prepared and they are ready. I mean, the road has been busy for the last couple of hours, almost a nonstop stream of people coming out to check on what's coming next, checking on their boats, checking on the dock, checking on the water, asking me if it's going to come up higher. And I still think we're going to see another round later on tonight of surge, but probably not as much as we've already seen. And especially with the storm accelerating the way it's accelerating, I think this next round of rain, which probably going to bring with it a lot more than we saw at 5 o'clock with the rain, I think in this next half hour, by the time we talk at 6 o'clock, I might be a whole lot soggier than I am right now, but we're ready for it too, hanging out with the locals here. I guess that's how you get ready for this kind of stuff, guys.
And you got the boots? Looks like you are ready. Be safe out there, Rob.
He is very ready. Thanks, Rob Nucatola has been there all day long. Rob, you were actually saying you were talking to some of the locals, and they have actually done a pretty good job of preparing, at least the people you talked to.
Absolutely. I think they've done a great job of preparing, and they're ready. They're not concerned. They're just aware. They've been through them before, and they understand what they need to do to stay ready. We've been pretty lucky in the couple hours that we've been here, the 3, 4, 5 hours that we've been here, because we haven't had heavy rain. We drove through a bunch to get here. I suspect I'm going to drive through a bunch going back to Tallahassee tonight. But right now, we're getting one of our heavier downpours. The last 15 minutes, it's been pretty solid and pretty steady rain. We've moved our location a little bit. We came here earlier when we first got here, about 3 o'clock this afternoon, right? And we saw all this water all the way up to the road from way down there on the water. Now, this was 30 or 40 yards of water in people's backyards, up past a restaurant, up past a nice little shop over there. It receded now that the tide had gone back out. There is still another high tide that's going to happen in the overnight period. We still do have some rain to deal with, and we still do have a little wind to deal with. I wouldn't be surprised if we did see another little surge, but hopefully not as much as what we saw earlier when the water got all the way out to the road or across the road in spots, and it was pretty significant when we got here during high tide. Now, for a lot of this area, they've been ready for it, and that's fabulous to talk about. There's been a lot of activity around here. I'm not quite sure that's the best recommendation, but in all my years of covering these storms around here, what I've noticed is many of the folks and many of the residents, they seem to celebrate these events, and I guess if you're going to do it safely, that's okay. My recommendation, though, is to stay inside, stay where it's safe. Don't go out and travel tonight. It's never a good idea. Tomorrow you go out and clean things up and see all the damage or whatever's been happening, guys.
Very good. Good information.